So let me guess, you've just been quoted $800 for laser cut parts and they're going to take 3 weeks to arrive. Now you're wondering, should I just buy a CNC plasma cutter and cut my own stuff? And here's the honest answer, and it's not what most YouTube channels will tell you. The real question isn't plasma cutter versus laser cutting. Most of these comparison videos are missing the point entirely. The real question is, when do you own the machine and when do you build a supplier relationship? Get that distinction right and you'll make a better decision about your workshop than any spec sheet comparison I will give you. Look, I've run a plasma cutter for years. I've also used laser cutting services regularly. So what I'm going to give you today is the framework I actually use. Not a spec sheet, not a marketing comparison, the honest answer. Section 1, when plasma wins. What a plasma cutter is actually good for. Let's start with what a plasma cutter is genuinely good at. And I want to be upfront here. I'm not trying to sell you on plasma cutter. I'm trying to help you figure out whether it makes sense for your situation. Number 1, one-offs and prototyping. This is the killer use case. Think about it. You need a mounting bracket. You need it this afternoon. You don't have time to draw the DXF, email it to a supplier, and wait for a quote and approve the order, wait for cutting and wait for it to be shipped back to you. You've got some scrap plate on the bench and a small CNC plasma cutter with conversational design tools. You're done in a few minutes. The speed of iteration changes how you design things. You stop over-engineering because you're scared to commit to a design. You just cut it, test the fit, tweak it, and cut it again. Same afternoon. I've saved hours of design time just because I could physically hold a part in the same day I thought of it. Number 2, field work. A plasma cutter power supply and torch are generally portable. If you can take it on site, cut it in the driveway, cut wherever you need to. A laser cutting service can't do that. And number 3, and this one's underrated, it's the freedom of not needing a supplier in the loop for every single cut. That's a timeliness factor. It's just not practical a lot of times. For a lot of builders, that freedom genuinely changes how they approach problems. Section 2, when the laser shop wins. When to send it to a laser cutting service. Now let me be equally honest about when the plasma cutting isn't the right answer. You're running production quantities of sheet metal, anything, multiple identical parts, consistent tolerances, outsourced laser is going to beat you on per part cost every time. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Heck, I've even had them cut M4 holes ready for tapping. So laser wins on production. That's not a debate. And it's not just the cutting itself. Laser shops often offer folding, finishing, and other value-add services. You can send the DXF and get back parts that are cut, folded, deburred, and ready to weld. A plasma cutter can't fold steel. So if your parts need folding and you don't have a press brake in-house, you need a supplier in the workflow regardless, although sometimes you can get away with slotting your fold lines and re-welding after. So here's where it gets interesting though. The reason most of these comparison videos get it wrong is because they frame it as a competition, plasma versus laser, and who wins. That's not the right framing. Think of it like having a bench grinder in your workshop. You wouldn't grind 1,000 identical parts on it, but when you need to touch something up right now, it's invaluable. The bench grinder doesn't compete with the surface grinder shop down the road. It fills the gap that the shop can't fill. The immediate, the one-off, the thing that isn't worth a purchase order. Plasma is the same. It doesn't replace a laser shop. It fills the gap a laser shop can't fill. Section 3, building your supplier panel. So let's talk about the supplier side of this. Because even if you own a plasma cutter, you're still going to use laser shops. And here's something that took me a while to figure out. Not all laser shops are the same, and you shouldn't be just using one. Think of your suppliers like tools in a toolbox. You don't use a hammer for everything. You use the right tool for the job. The same logic applies here. Some suppliers are slow on new jobs. You might have to wait a couple of weeks for a quote the first time they see your parts. But once you're in the system, the recuts are cheap and fast. And if they offer folding that's a genuine value add, and you can get cut and folded parts in a single order, that type of supplier is ideal for repeat production runs where the setup work is already done. Some suppliers are built for speed and turn things around in 24 to 48 hours. No fuss, no minimum orders. They might not offer folding or finishing, but when you need parts fast, they're invaluable. Prototypes, design iterations, something that needs to be on the machine by Friday. And some suppliers go further. Fabrication, welding, assembly, powder coating. You send them some DXFs and you get back a finished, painted, assembled component ready to just bolt in. That's not just cutting, that's manufacturing capacity, and that's a completely different value proposition. So here's the point. You don't pick one supplier and use them for everything. You build a panel. You know which supplier to call depending on the job that you have to do at the time. And the timeline, the complexity, whether it needs value-added services like folding, finishing, or assembling. So this is how a professional approaches this. Not who's cheapest, but who's right for this job. And once you build that supplier panel, the decision about whether to own a plasma cutter becomes a lot clearer, because now you know exactly what gap it fills and how much it's likely to be used. It fills the gap that none of those suppliers can fill, the cut you need this afternoon, but isn't worth a purchase order. If this is already shaping how you think about your workshop setup, do me a favor and hit the like button. It genuinely helps. And if you want to go further down the rabbit hole, I've got a video coming up showing you a Linux CNC plasma controller for a few $100s that does everything a $30,000 commercial system does. In the meantime, head on over to MrRodW to buy me a coffee or join the crew. So, back to the original question, should you buy one? Here's my honest answer. Yes, if you prototype regularly, do field work, or just need the speed of cutting something this afternoon without a supplier in the loop. That freedom is genuinely valuable, and it changes how you design and build. No, if your work is predominantly sheet metal production and it runs at consistent tolerances, in that case, build your supplier panel first. Understand who's out there in your area, what they offer, and what each one is best at. Outsourced laser on production runs will beat you on a per part cost, and there's no shame in knowing that. And if you're somewhere in the middle, which most of us are, the answer is own the machine and also use a supplier. They're not competing with each other, they're complementary. The machine handles what the supplier can't, and the supplier handles what the machine can't. So match the tool to the job. That applies to the cut, and it applies to how you think about your whole workshop setup. There is one important caveat here, a pretty critical gotcha. It bites whether you're considering buying a plasma cutter or a laser cutter. Neither of these technologies are a standalone item. You need to invest in the right accessories to let you actually use them. In the case of a plasma table, many people will tell you all that you need to ensure clean, dry air is to whack on a motor guard air filter. Let me tell you, they are dead wrong. I believed that and ended up with a pool of condensate under a machine that would not cut on day one. That was a brutal learning. A simple filter is nowhere near enough in most climates. You need to invest in a refrigerated dryer for trouble-free plasma operation. And that's another $3K before you blink. They then need pre and post filters, which are rarely packaged with the dryer. That's another K. The situation is worse with laser cutters. You need to use water chillers that include a heating circuit to ensure there's no condensation around the laser lens, and also a voltage stabilizer to keep the laser operating at a constant voltage. Then there's that bank of gases lasers require. One of those gases can be compressed air, but this needs to be at a much higher pressure than ordinary shop air. Of course, you need to have a much greater capacity refrigerator dryer, so it's not hard to spend as much on these components as you can on an entry-level laser cutter. So here's another reason to make sure that you do your homework when you're considering purchasing either of these machines. Let me know in the comments, do you own a plasma cutter, or you do outsource your cutting, or do you do both? And if you outsource, what made you decide against owning the machine? I'm genuinely curious how other builders handle this way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.